how often do we have to be on site during any project that we do? How often are we on site? What can be done on Zoom? Thoughts?
Every day, right? How often do we need to be on site? We love being on site. We love being on site almost every day during the project, but I realize that's not practical, right? So we have some rules of thumb, rule of thumbs, I don't know how it's, but when do you come on site? For sure, when you're kicking off the project. We want to make sure that we have some eyeball time with all the clients, your lowest employees to your executives. We want to meet them. We want to set expectations, tell you a story of how we've done before on these projects and what to expect going forward. That's one. Then anytime that the vendor is coming on site, a software vendor is coming on site for configuration meetings, for planning meetings, for training, what have you, it's one of our core values and beliefs that we don't leave you alone with a software vendor. And there are several reasons for it. Not all software vendors are not to be trusted. There are a lot that are not to be trusted, right? And you run into situations where a software project manager or a salesperson or an account manager tries to upsell things that are not necessarily required for your project, or interpret the scope of work in a way that is not congruent with what was discussed or in the contract. And if they're doing it with the rank and file of your organization that don't really know the nitty-gritty and the ins and outs of how contracting works, it could be a problem. That's just one of many reasons. We also want to make sure that they're delivering everything that they have signed up for, everything that's in the contract that you're supposed to get. So coming on site with when a vendor is present is really important. And then we come on site for training sessions, for go-live meetings, for post-go-live support and hand-holding. And really, anytime that we think that the project is at risk, or anytime there is a thing to celebrate, right? We meet a certain milestone or a module goes live, we're going to be on site. But, that's the hybrid model. We're on Zoom all the time with our clients. But if you ask me how this worked 20 years ago, I lived on client sites, right? We had a closet somewhere that the client would put us in and give us a desk and maybe a phone and say, okay, good luck. And we would not leave until the project was over. But I get it. 2024, 2025 is the hybrid world, and we'll be on site as much as you want us to be. But those are the main sort of key milestones and times when we definitely will be on site.
And there's a time and place for Zoom, right? A check-in meeting just to get a temperature check on what things are happening, maybe an update meeting of things that happened that week, right? But what about during client interviews? Do you like being on Zoom during client interviews?
I don't. I dislike being on Zoom. So anyone that's going to invite us for a short list or a presentation in 25, we'll do it on Zoom. We'll even do it on Teams. But I would love to be on site with you. We'll spend our own money and our own time. Like this week, we're going out to a West Coast prospect where we have a big pitch meeting, and they invited us to come on site. I think that's really good for us because we get to put our best foot forward. We don't have the limitations of the virtual tool set. We can really sit down and talk to you about how we're going to do this project for you, who we are, who you are, and make sure that we have a values match more than anything else, right? And those things don't happen on Zoom. We can tell you all the words and we can show you all the PowerPoints, but the human connection just doesn't get made. And I like to think that real connection, real learning, real selling happens between the Zoom calls. It's in those gaps where you're not on a Zoom meeting is when real magic happens. So take advantage of the fact that we are going to spend our own money to come tell you how we are the best positioned to serve you as your consultants.
Well, it makes people more comfortable too. I feel like not everyone's going to ask a question on Zoom because maybe they don't want to ask it in front of everybody. Yeah. I don't know, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. There's more of an open conversation that happens when we're all at the table together.
Well, it's a unique necessity of the government, and we serve only governments, right? That they do things by committee, that they do things by consensus, that they have a selection committee. No one person has the power to select
Right.
us over anyone else, especially on a large scale ERP implementation. So I get it. You can't put everyone in the same room at the same time. But at the same time, there are top executives, chief administrative officer, chief operating officer, CIO, CFO. It's these people that eventually take the project on their back. Yeah, you made a decision by committee, right? Scoring up and down, what have you. But if it goes wrong, it's the executive's fault.
Right.
So at a minimum, we'd like to meet the people that have a huge stake in these projects. And we like to say that we have a shared fate with the decision makers. Like your elections may be at stake because of this project. Your job might be at stake. You want to succeed at this. And when we do projects for like a major ERP implementation selection project for a large city or a county or a transit agency, what have you, millions of dollars are at stake. You're going to make us responsible or put us in charge of millions of dollars on your end of taxpayer dollars. And you're going to pay us millions of dollars. So I think it's in everyone's best interest to meet in person, right? I know we're buying cars online now. I mean, I've done it. Carvana, CarMax, what have you. You can buy it with 3 clicks. And I think if you're attempting to buy consulting services or software, that's going to cost your organization millions of dollars. Have I said millions of dollars again?
Have we talked
You
about the
can't do it
fact that
online.
you're going to be spending a lot of time with these people?
That too, right? I mean,
A
yes,
lot of
on
time.
site,
Yep.
on Zoom, you have to like each other too
Yes,
to get into those long-term agreements.
absolutely.